Goes to the corner for it. Number 4, Elmer Vasco. Behind the net, a pass to Beliveau, back. Pierre Palat covers up. So far, the Leafs haven't had a shot on goal. It's back for Bobby Hull, who broke Shack's stick. It's Bobby Hull up at center. A pass over the line, and Douglas breaks it up. He's hooked from behind. Fulford. A flip shot that Glenn Hall stops with his glove. Duff is jammed in on the boards, kicks it loose. Pierre Palat, a back pass. Davy Keon out after it. Flips it back to Duff. Duff takes it down. Armstrong hit the post. Duff passes it back for Horton. Horton takes his shot. It hit a leg. And it goes back to center. Horton, a pass for Duff. To Armstrong, over the line. They're closing in. And a pass for Keon failed to click. Jeffrey-On just shoots it out to center ice. Pass over to Keon, a slap shot backwards into the All-Star zone. Number 11, Harry Howell. A flip pass for Bobby Hull. Hull waits, back in front of the net. Marcel Pronovost falls. Keon keeps it in with Armstrong. Armstrong gets it, slapped at it, passes it off the boards to Bob Vaughn. Vaughn takes his shot. Glenn Hall stopped it, it's right in front of the scores! Mahovlich, number 27, wrapped in the loose puck in front. And the face-off. Back in the All-Star zone. Howell to the blue line. To Howe. To Ullman. Stopped by Mahovlich, who's dumped. It's Alex Del Vecchio. Stopped by Stanley, who grabbed him. Stanley. Play is called. A penalty to Alan Stanley.
Number 27, Mahovlich. Assists, number 10, Armstrong, and number 21, Bond. Time, 2:22. Leafs penalty, number 26, Stanley. 2 minutes for holding. Time 2:42.
Is that right? No, 4-1. Positive. Here's a shot. Bauer stopped that. It's cleared off to the side. Here's a pass by number 18 of the All-Stars, Dean Prentice. Henri Richard tried to center it. Stewart flips a backhand, and it goes over the glass into the crowd. Face off in the Maple Leaf zone to the left of Johnny Bauer. The Leafs are playing a man short. Henri Richard gets the draw back to Jeffrey-On. A pass for Bobby Hull. He shot it for Camille Henry. Right in front of the net. Bathgate couldn't get to it, and Bob Bond just shoots it down the ice. Jeffrey-On, number 5, back for it. Here he comes. Pass over to Andy Bathgate, lost control of it, goes after it again, flicks it through for Camille Henry. A back pass, it dribbles through, and Stewart is there for it. Stewart playing on the defense, traps it with his skate and holds it for a face-off. You know, they've got one set up in there for Dad.
Yeah, but he hasn't got that much.
No. Well, they just pick it off the PA, though, can't they? They just pick it up off the PA? Face off in the Maple Leaf zone to the left. Camille Henri with Henri Richard and Andy Bathgate. The Boomer and Gordie Howe playing back on the defense. Fulford with Larry Hillman, number 22, Tim Horton, and Bob Nevin. The puck goes loose. Nevin comes up with it. Shoots it down to center ice where it's stopped there by Jeffrion. It carries back to his own blue line. Inside and a pass to Howe. Over to Camille Henri. Back to Howe. Howe gets it over the line to Richard. He drags it, gets it back to Camille Henri. His shot was stopped by Nevin and lost it then to Richard. Passed out in front. Bathgate a shot. Bauer stopped that. Here's Bathgate again to Richard. Back to Howe. The shot. Bauer stopped that. They score. Richard finally shot it in the net. Play back in the All-Star zone. Number 20, Tom Johnson. Pass off the boards for Provo. Also number 17 with Johnny Busick. Couldn't control it. Here's the puck out in front. Pierre Palat moves in, takes his shot. Bauer stopped that. Armstrong after it. A pass for Keon, blocked by Oliver. Duff carries on and then lost it to Pierre Palat. His pass over
Score
on
for
the
the
wing to
All-Stars.
Prentice.
Goal
Out
by
to Provo.
number 16, Richard. Assists, number 12, Henry, and number 9, Howe. Time of the goal, 4:08.
Palat from Provo shooting it into the Leaf zone, into the corner. Slides to the side of Bauer and Dick Duff. A pass to Keon. Keon, a pass to Armstrong. Up with Duff. Over the line. Takes his shot wide. Hillman a shot. It comes over for Keon. Keon rolled it in front, and Johnson goes after it. Back and Horton keeps it in. Horton trying to center it. Henri Oliver, a pass to Provo. Provo, Busick, and Oliver. One man back. They're going over the line. Back to Oliver. A shot. Bauer stopped that, and he's got it again. Beliveau with Jeffrion and Hull facing Mahovlich, Kelly, and Litzenberger. Bond on the defense with Stanley. Kelly for Litzenberger. Off the boards for Kelly. Kelly gets it out to center, and back there was Beliveau. Clearing pass goes into the Leaf zone, and it's Stanley. A long pass on the right wing for Litzenberger. Back to Bond, and he just got rid of it. Harry Howell of the All-Stars. A pass to Beliveau. Flipped in for Bobby Howell. Howell pushed off by Stanley. Clears it back for the blue line. Vasco took a shot to Jeffrion. His drive was stopped by Bauer on the short side. Here's a pass right in front of Howell missed it. Another shot was wide. Beliveau flipped it across the goal mouth. Then Vasco a shot. Knocked down. Stanley falls and covers up. On the face-off, Jeffrion gets it back to Vasco. His shot, Bauer didn't see it, but it was wide. Still kept in the Leaf zone, and it's Stanley back there for it. A pass for Kelly. Kelly working his way out with Litzenberger too far. Litzenberger keeps it in, runs into Vasco. Bobby Hull behind the All-Star goal. Litzenberger breaks it up. A pass for Kelly. And it's stopped there by Howell, who clears it out the center. It went past Bobby Bond's stick. Over the red line, it may be called icing. I know, 4-2, at least 4-1. Marcel Pronovost, the All-Stars, a pass to Gordie Howe, a drop pass to Pronovost. He tried to go all the way, and Mahovlich was there. Frank Mahovlich starting out. Long pass for Kelly's in the clear, right in on goal, and a great save by Glenn Hall. Kelly has it again, back to Stanley. Stanley waits, takes his shot, a weak one, stopped by Gordie Howe. Cleared it out over the line, Stanley. A pass to Kelly, to Litzenberger. He shot it back in again, and it's Gordie Howe. Off the boards. Narmi Elman, Alex Del Vecchio. In over the line, a shot that was offside at the blue line. On the faceoff, Pulford back to Horton. Horton off the boards, and it was knocked by Del Vecchio over the board. Gordie Howe in the corner, centered in front of the Leaf goal, and it was cleared by Pulford to Shack. For Nevin, too far. Del Vecchio shoots it back in again. Bauer out of his net to stop it, and Douglas goes back. Douglas watched by Howe, who tried to center it. Nevin goes to the corner. Bauer fell, gets back up on his feet. Palat takes his shot. That's deflected wide. Pulford covers Howe. Howe then covers Douglas. Howe goes down. Douglas kicked it with his skate. Horton comes up with it. Tim Horton. A pass failed to get out. It's cleared for Gordie Howe into the corner. He shot it back to Del Vecchio, back to the blue line. There's the shot by Marcel Pronovost that's wide. Alex Del Vecchio tries to center it. Pulford goes after it, and he chops it down the ice. But it hit the All-Star defenseman Pierre Palat, and it'll be not called for icing. Marcel Pronovost to Pierre Palat. He's bumped. Here's Shack and Nevin. One man back. Shack gets right in front. Oh, and he banged on his shot. Pulford got a drive. And it goes to the far wing where Dean Prentice cleared it out to center ice for the All-Stars. It's Shack over the line with Pulford. Shack closing in from the left wing. A shot. That was wide. Nevin from the right wing. A shot. Gets it handed back to him. Clears it right in front for Pulford. For Nevin, and it's knocked off to Prentice. Prentice gets it ahead to center ice. Down comes Elman over the line with Bathgate the shot. Bauer knocks it off to the side. It's cleared back to the blue line. Harry Howell shot it around the boards. Stopped by Horton. He in turn was checked. Bathgate trying to get it to Prentice. And Pulford runs into Prentice, kicks it loose to Horton, and Horton just shoots it down the ice. It didn't go over the red line. Play continues. They change players on the go. Johnson cleared it out to at center ice. Here the All-Stars over the line. Richard. A pass to Johnson. Flicked it in front, and Bauer's way out of his net to pick it up and hold it. Bond gets the drop from the face-off. Keon shoots it around on the boards for Duff. Duff couldn't get it out. Here's a chance for Bathgate, number 8. He's coming from the side, and his pass was deflected. It's Stanley. A flip pass for Duff. Duff straight down the ice, over the all-star line with Keon. Back to Duff. In the corner. Passed it back for Stanley. His shot right in front. And Glenn Hall knocked it off to the side. Richard goes away on the left wing to center. Up over the line. Takes his shot, but it was offside. On the face-off. Armstrong of the Leafs. Hooked away by Richard. Richard, a pass for Bathgate. Stopped by Armstrong. He bumps into Bathgate. Bathgate takes the puck away from him, flips it over the line. Stanley covers up. Pass to Bond. Bond to Duff. Duff over for Armstrong over the line. Armstrong waits. A flip pass, and it was broken up. Down the ice comes Bathgate with Richard. Bathgate shoots it. It hit Bond. It's Armstrong intercepting a pass. With Duff over the blue line. Duff back to Armstrong. The shot. Oh! And Hall just saw that at the last second. Back for Howell, the center. Up over the Leaf line. 4 of them over the line. The shot. Bauer deflects it to the boards. It's cleared. Here's the All-Stars with a weak shot. Bond breaks it up. Clearing it out for Keon too far. Long pass for Bathgate. Bathgate for Richard, and Bond gets in ahead of him. Bond. Off the boards for Mahovlich. To Keon. And Litzenberger on his right. Keon takes his shot. Here's Litzenberger, the rebound right there! Mahovlich from Litzenberger. On the face-off. Kelly knocking it over the line. Mahovlich back at center. Back to Litzenberger over the line. Litzenberger shot one. Here's Mahovlich again. Kelly goes after it. Litzenberger takes his shot, and that goes off to the wing.
Mahovlich assists. Number 14, Keon. Number 25, Litzenberger. Time 12-11.
12-11. Here's a chance as Bauer came out of his net to cover up on the All-Stars who were right in on him. Number 17, Johnny Busick having a chance. Long pass from Mahovlich, broken up. Here's the Leafs getting another chance. Kelly with Litzenberger over the line. And Litzenberger was offside by a fraction. On the faceoff, Basco goes behind the All-Star net, over on the wing. Clearing pass. Pierre Pilat out on the right side to Provo. To Oliver. Oliver skated off by Bond. And it goes for Mahovlich. He lost it. It's cleared out. Oliver took a shot. Bond. It's deflected out over the line. Mahovlich went after it. And Pilat stepped in front of him. Bond ahead to Litzenberger. Litzenberger passing for Mahovlich. Mahovlich closing in. Back to Litzenberger. Litzenberger to Hillman. Hillman closing in. His shot was wide. And the rebound went all the way out to center. Bond takes a long shot that Glenn Hall stops. Pasco goes back for it. Leafs change players. Delaveau bumped by Shack. Bobby Hull lost control of the puck, but gets it in with Delaveau into the Leaf zone, and Shack is backward for it. Eddie Shack. Spun around by Bobby Hull. John Beliveau tried to pass it in front, and Shack has it again. A long pass to Nevin. Nevin and Fulford over the line together. Nevin takes his shot, and that's wide. Shack was checked from behind. Geoffrion gets away from Fulford. Pushes it over onto the wing. Beliveau watched. Comes up with it. A pass to Hull. Hull up the center. Missed a check from Bond, but lost his stride. He lost his balance getting out of the way. Beliveau cleared it into the lead zone, and it's called for icing. Fulford, Shack, and Nevin. Back to Hillman. Took his shot. It was stopped by Glenn Hall. Fulford for Nevin. Stopped. And the All-Stars cleared out. Bobby Hull taking Geoffrion's pass. Up over the leaf line. Trying to cut in. Bond chased after him, and the puck was shot off the glass. It went down the ice. Shack went after it. Howell got in front of him. Hillman. A pass. There's going to be a penalty, a delayed penalty. Bauer left the ice, but the All-Stars will get the gate. A holding penalty likely to Howell. All right.
All-Star penalty, number 11, Howell. 2 minutes for holding. Time 15:18.
Puck goes down the ice into the lead zone, and Horton back there. Leafs having the odd man advantage, playing 6 men to 5. Horton to Keon. Keon at his own blue line to center with Litzenberger over the line, and it was offside. Robo and Prentice killing off the penalty. Horton, a pass for Litzenberger, stopped by Basco. Basco races down the ice. Is jammed in on the board. And there's a pass from Horton to Kelly. Kelly, a pass to Mahovlich over the line. Mahovlich passed it right in front for Litzenberger, and he just failed to get a shot. He jams Vasco in on the boards, and there's no further play. Litzenberger tried to pass it back. Provo beat Kelly to it, gets away from him. Mahovlich trying to get back to check him. It's in over the line offside as Provo had shot it back behind him and then carried on into Leaf territory. On the face-off, Keon back to Kelly. Leafs are using 5 attackers and 1 defenseman. Kelly stick handling the center. Flipped it through the All-Star defense. Glenn Hall stopping it. It's Mahovlich a flip. Keon has it against the boards. Mahovlich trying to dig it out. And it's called for a face-off in the All-Star zone to the right. Lee sent out Harris with Armstrong and Duff, Douglas and Kelly. Harris back to Kelly from the face-off. Kelly took his shot. That was way wide. Douglas moves up. A shot that Duff tried to deflect. Goes to the corner. Comes back to Kelly again. Kelly is jammed against the boards. And it's cleared by Johnson out to center. Douglas. Clearing it off the boards. Provost is checked and Harris has it. At his own blue line to center. Up over the line. A pass for Armstrong. He shoots it. He hit the post. Armstrong hit the post. Another shot goes high, this time over the glass. On the faceoff, Stanley keeps it in a flip pass for Harris. Harris took his shot, and Glenn Hall just got a piece of that with his stick. On the faceoff, Harris back to Stanley, his shot. Hit number 6, Normie Elman, who went after it. Bond just shot it out. Del Vecchio carries in over the line, takes his shot, and Bauer got his toe on it and deflected into the crowd. Unless they got to go after that. Oh. Duff. A flip pass for Harris, stopped by number 6, Normie Elman, to Del Vecchio. He's bumped. Goes loose to Stanley. Stanley up to center, takes a long bouncer, stopped by Glenn Hall. Del Vecchio stopped by Bond's drive that nearly hit the referee. Gordie Howe. He passed it back. There was nobody there. Harry Howell goes back for it. A pass to Del Vecchio, to Elman, ahead to Gordie Howe. One man back. Gordie Howe trying to cut in, takes his shot, and it was wide. There's going to be a penalty here to the Leafs. Duff for holding.
Leafs penalty, number 9, Duff. 2 minutes for holding. Time 18:15.
The Toronto Maple Leafs playing a man short as we get set to resume play. And the power play has clicked once for the All-Stars in this first period. All set to go. Douglas chopped it out to center ice, and Geoffrion back there for it at the blue line. He passed it over to Bobby Hull. Back for Beliveau, and ends up on Andy Bathgate's stick, number 8. Bathgate, a long shot into the corner. Horton slapped it off the boards, but not out. Geoffrion is poke checked by Keon, and he, in turn, backhands it down the ice. Bathgate, number 8, back for it. Johnny McMillan out there with Keon to kill off the penalty as Beliveau goes over the line. Was checked. Douglas waits. Failed to get it out. Bathgate, a pass was wide. It goes to the side.
Last minute of play in this period.
Howe trying to get it out in front. Beliveau took a shot that was wide. Hull took a drive. It's still loose. Here it comes back to Bathgate. Bathgate fakes a shot, waited too long, and Keon clears it down the ice. Geoffrion gets away from McMillan. Up for the All-Stars to Bobby Howell. Howell comes up over the leaf line, breaks through, and he didn't get it. Scores! A solo effort by Bobby Howell. Hello, Canada hockey fans in the United States. Bill Hewitt from Maple Leaf Gardens, and we have about 22 seconds remaining in this first period. It's a 2-all tie. Bobby Howell just scoring.
Time 19:27.
19:27, a power play goal by Bobby Howell. Actually, it was a solo effort, though, from Geoffrion with Duff in the penalty box. The Maple Leafs took a 1-0 lead at 2:22 when Mahovlich scored from Armstrong and Bond. Then Henri Richard tied it up from Howe and Henry at 4:08. Frank Mahovlich scored his second goal from Litzenberger and Keon at 12:11. And Hull tied it up from Geoffrion at 19:27. So we have about 12 seconds remaining in this first period. It's a 2-all tie. The All-Stars in their own zone wearing the white sweaters break out of their own zone. It's Henri Richard to center, number 16, over the line. Gets around Bond partially, passes it back, and there goes the bell to end the first period. There were 3 penalties. Alan Stanley picked the first penalty up for holding at 2:42. Then it was Harry Howell for holding at 15:18, and Dick Duff for holding at 18:15. Both goals by the All-Stars coming while they enjoyed a man advantage. Mahovlich scoring twice for the Maple Leafs, and Henri Richard and Bobby Howell for the All-Stars. 2. At 12:11, Frank Mahovlich scored again from Litzenberger and Keon, and it was 2-1 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Howell then went off for holding at 15:18, and at 18:15, Duff picked up a holding penalty. Hull scored on a solo effort from Geoffrion at 19:27, and it's a 2-all tie as the All-Stars in their own zone with Elmer Vasco. Out he comes, a long pass, stopped by Shack. Shack does shoots it over the line again. Nevin couldn't keep it in, and the All-Stars break away. Number 17, Dean Prentice over the line, a pass for Claude Provo, number 14. He passes right in front of the net. And Johnny Busick then gets it back to Vasco, a shot. Bauer catches it and holds it for a faceoff. Out there now, number 15 is Murray Oliver. Number 17 is Johnny Busick. And number 14 is Claude Provo. Vasco on the defense with Pierre Pilote. And the Leafs are using Nevin, Shack, Pulford, Douglas, and Horton. On the face-off, back to Pulford, number 20. He's behind the Leaf goal at the north end. The pass back to Horton. Horton is hook-checked by Oliver. Tries it again, flips it off the boards, and it goes to center. Vasco over to Pilote. A tip to Claude Provo, and he rebounds it right to Bauer. Pulford now starts out. Shack on his left. Up the center, a flip pass for Eddie Shack. He's over the line, takes his shot, and it's wide. Nevin let it go, gets it again, and then shoots it around behind the net. Pierre Pilote, number 3, is dumped by Pulford. Pulford trying to center it. It came out in front. And there's Johnny Busick, a pass to Murray Oliver. Over the line, closing in, into the corner. Tried to center it. Horton knocked him into the boards, and Nevin comes up with the puck. Long pass to Shack. Shack skated off by Provo. Gets it again, then lost it to Provo. He bumps into him. Pulford gets the loose puck at center. His play gets a bit scrambly in this second period with the score tied 2-2. Bob Nevin with Duff on the ice. A pass for Pulford, and it just failed to stay on his stick. Provo watched by Duff. They jam against the boards. It comes loose. Then Duff hooks it with his skate and holds it for a face-off. And we're coming up to the 2-minute mark in the second period in 11 seconds. A 2-2 tie. Mahovlich has scored twice. Richard and Hull, the scorers for the All-Stars in the first period. Referee Frank Mahovlich, the linesmen are Neil Armstrong and Matt Pavlich. Leafs outshot the All-Stars in the first period, 14-13. The 17th annual All-Star game here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. It's back there for Harry Howell, who wrapped it to the blue line, but not out. Duff, a pass for Keon. He couldn't get to it. Jeffrion flicks it. Goes out to Stanley. Stanley handed it right back to Jeffrion. Up to the Leaf line. A pass. Beliveau right to Hull. Hull a shot, and Jeffrion failed to tip it. Away goes Keon. Up the center with Duff over the line. Takes a screenshot. And it was stopped by the All-Star defense, which is Howell and Marcel Pronovost. Hanley to Bond. Bond takes a long shot. Glenn Hall stopping it. Shooting into the corner. Marcel Pronovost. Watched by Keon. Armstrong goes after it. Failed to center it. It's tipped over to Bobby Hull, number 7. He flips it out to Beliveau at center. Beliveau and Jeffrion over the line. Beliveau still with it. Passed it right in front. Hull took a shot. And it just failed to go in the net. It slid by Bauer out the other side. Back for Armstrong and Duff. A long shot into the corner. Duff gets the rebound. A shot. Armstrong got the rebound off Glenn Hall, but couldn't center it. Back goes Beliveau. Up over the Leaf line. He's getting set. Back to Jeffrion. A shot, and Bauer stopped that. To Armstrong as they open up. Mahovlich is loose on the left wing. A long pass for him. He's after it. Glenn Hall came out of the net. Left it for Keon. Keon trying to center it. Glenn Hall tips it to Bobby Hull. He was checked, and there'll be a face-off in the All-Star zone to the left. We have played 3 minutes, 29 seconds of the second period, a 2-all tie. This 1963 NHL All-Star game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Glenn Hall cleared the puck into the corner as the Leafs move into All-Star territory. Kelly trying to center it. It's cleared by Henri Richard. And number 18, Dean Prentice, the center. Mahovlich back for it. A pass for Horton. He's checked by Dean Prentice, number 18. Cleared behind the Leaf goal. Mahovlich failed to get it out. A shot. Mahovlich was knocked down. Cleared out to center ice. Litzenberger couldn't get away. Now it's Horton, number 7. He's checked. Henri Richard going in alone, trying to get a shot. And he was knocked down by Hillman from behind before he could get a direct drive as he tried to shift Bauer out of position. It's Andy Bathgate back to Elmer Vasco. Stopped by Larry Hillman. Ahead to Kelly. Kelly, Mahovlich, and Litzenberger. They're over the line. A pass for Mahovlich and hopped over his stick. Tried to center it. Kelly stopped by number 20, Tom Johnson, and it's cleared by Hillman over the glass. We've played 5 minutes less 24 seconds of this second period. It's a 2-all tie. The All-Stars 2 and the Maple Leafs 2. On the face-off. Gordie Howe to Alex Del Vecchio. Back to Howe, number 9. And Stanley just reached far enough. Howe gets it back to the blue line. Harry Howell a shot. Number 6, Ullman. Passed it right in front of the net. Here's Gordie Howe after it. A shot, and he rifled it wide. Litzenberger goes down the right wing. At center. Over to the opposite wing. Tried to get it over the line. He fights for it. Gets it with Kelly. Mahovlich is loose out in front. And Kelly was too well covered by Harry Howell. Kelly trying to drag it with his skate. Now it's Ullman to Del Vecchio, number 10. He hit Ullman again with it. He goes back. Normie Ullman, number 6. Ahead to Gordie Howe. A long pass for Del Vecchio, and it was deflected off Litzenberger's skate. Over the glass, back of the timers and penalty box. That's the west side of Maple Leaf Gardens. And the players' benches on the east side. The All-Stars in the white uniforms with the gold and black trim. Maple Leafs in their dark blue uniforms with the white numerals. Eddie Shack, number 23, in his own zone. Down behind the net. A pass to Stewart. Long pass for Nevin. Hopped over his stick. Fulford races down the ice with Pierre Palat. Pierre Palat beat him to it. Fulford grabbed him by the arm, but it was called for icing. Fulford grabbed him by the arm, but it was called for icing. And we're at the 5:42 mark of the second period, a 2-all tie. 17th annual All-Star game. Referee Frank Mahovlich will drop the puck. And standing room only here at the Gardens tonight. All set to go. On the face-off, the puck was deflected back out to center ice from the face-off. Howell is bumped by Pulford. Nevin moves up to center. Failed to get past Howell. Pulford and Nevin slap at it. Nevin gaining contact with the puck, and it's Pierre Palat back of the net. Oh, he's checked by Nevin. Pulford trying to get a whack at it, and Glenn Hall stopped it off the target. Gordie Howe, number 9. A pass for Howell. Howell out on the left wing, too well covered. Stewart wraps it right back in again. Pierre Palat back for it. He passes into the corner, and it slides along to Del Vecchio. He had to go back again. And the Leafs are forechecking the All-Stars in their own zone. Ullman tried to get out. His pass was delayed. Howe comes up with it. A pass for Del Vecchio. Del Vecchio gets in on the left wing. Tried to slip it through for Ullman. And it stopped. Stewart and Nevin tried to combine, and the All-Stars have it again. Here's Ullman. He tried to get it over to Howe, who's cruising in front. Gets it over to him finally. Gordie Howe trying to get in front for a drive. He did. Ullman a try. Ullman still has it. And he's bumped. Fulford. A pass to Shack. Over to Nevin. Fulford loose on the left wing. Kicked it over the line, and it's offside. And we played 7 minutes and 12 seconds of the second period. A 2-all tie. All-Stars have Murray Oliver, number 15. Number 17 is Johnny Busick. And now out there, number 12, Camille Henri. Vasco and Marcel Pronovost on the defense. Keon Armstrong and Duff for the Leafs with Horton and Douglas. Up for Marcel Pronovost. Over to Camille Henri. Shot it in offside as Murray Oliver was at least 3 strides over the blue line. Tempo of the game has slowed down somewhat compared to the first period, which was wide open. They're checking a little closer in the second period. Vasco moves up for the All-Stars, shoots it around. Bauer comes out and stops it. Douglas, a pass to Horton. Horton trying to move out. A clearing pass for Keon. Keon to Duff. One man back. Duff shoots. Glenn Hall stopped that and threw it off to the side. Armstrong keeps it in. Then Douglas let one go on a slap shot. It comes to this wing. Murray Oliver tried to get it out. Horton kept it in. Vasco goes back for it. Behind the net into the corner. Duff ran into Vasco, and Vasco hit him hard. Johnny Busick, a clearing pass to Camille Henri. A long pass stopped by Armstrong, and Armstrong just failed to get loose. Murray Oliver back now. Here he comes to center ice. Over to Camille Henri. They're in over the line, the 3 of them. A pass knocked down, and Keon comes up with it. Away goes Keon. With Duff. Back to Duff. Over for Armstrong. Right in. He hit the post. And it just glanced off. 3-way passing play as Douglas then gets set. Lets the shot go. Oh, and Keon standing in front. Failed to get the rebound. Back goes Busick. Up over the line. He's hit. 2 Leaf players with Horton going down with Douglas, but getting up again. There's Vasco's shot. Bauer stops it and holds onto it for a face-off. This 1963 NHL All-Star game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Face off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right. North end of Maple Leaf Gardens. Score is tied 2-2. 2-all tie after 8 minutes and 53 seconds of the second period. Red Kelly wearing the helmet. A long pass for Frank Mahovlich on the left wing, up over the blue line. He waited too long, and Geoffrion took it away from him to Bobby Hull. He's checked by Mahovlich. Mahovlich, a pass for Kelly, back for Mahovlich. Kelly tries to help him out. Centered it right in front of the net, and Johnson knocked it out to the side, number 20. Beliveau, Geoffrion, and Hull. It's Beliveau, a pass for Bobby Hull. Here's the shot, wide. The rebound behind the net, came right in front of the goal. Bobby Hull takes his shot, and it was stopped by the Leaf defense. Kelly coming up the center. Over the all-star line, a drop pass for Mahovlich. Bobby Hull took it away from him, gave it to Beliveau, and Beliveau passed it right back to him. Bobby Hull at center, over to Geoffrion. Geoffrion's shot was way wide. Litzenberger checked by Hull. Then Mahovlich breaks away with Litzenberger. Up over the line, back to Litzenberger. Litzenberger for Bond, who was cruising in. His shot was stopped by Glenn Hall, and he holds it. They finally get it loose. Harry Howell, number 11, passing it behind the going after it himself, flicks it through Kelly's skates to Bobby Hull. Shack bumped into Hull. Johnson clears it to Geoffrion. A pass stopped by Litzenberger. Litzenberger takes his shot, and that was stopped by Glenn Hall. A real rifle shot by Eddie Litzenberger. Now the All-Stars. Bobby Hull. Long pass to Beliveau at center. Over the line. Stanley stopped him. Hooper, a pass for Nevin, hit the back of his skate. He had to go back for it. Nevin just gets rid of it to center. But failed to break away again. Stanley gets it over to Shack. Shack with Hooper over the line. Into the corner. Centered it back to the blue line to Bond. Bond gets set, took his shot, and that was stopped by Howell. And Bathgate clears it down the ice. It's going to the red line. It's over. And the All-Stars are called for icing the puck at the 11:04 mark of the second period. Then the score is tied 2-all. And Terry Sawchuk is coming out now to play goal for the All-Stars, replacing Glenn Hall. Well, they'll warm him up a bit. And while they do, give me an opportunity to review the scoring so far in this game. And it all came in the first period so far. And Mahovlich opened the scoring from George Armstrong and Bob Bond at 2:22. Then at 2:42, Alan Stanley of the Leafs picked up a holding penalty. And at 4:08, Henri Richard cashed in on a scramble around the Leaf goal. Gordie Howe and Camille Henri assisting on the play. At 12:11, Litzenberger set up Mahovlich again, and he scored. Keon also getting an assist. And then at 15:18, Harry Howell picked up a holding penalty. Nothing happened then. But at 18:15, after Dick Duff had a holding penalty, and 19:27 came along, it was Bobby Hull and a solo effort from Jeffrey.
Wearing number 24, Terry Sawchuk.
Just announcing Terry Sawchuk. Geoffrion getting the assist only on the basis of the pass that he made back in his own zone. But Bobby Hull went all the way. He seemed to be dragged down as he came in front of the net, but he flicked it over Bauer, and it was just underneath the crossbar. A beautiful effort by Bobby Hull, and that tied it up 2-2, and that's the way it is now at the 11:04 mark of the second period, with Terry Sawchuk now playing goal for the All-Stars. Henri Richard, Dean Prentice, and Andy Bathgate. Pierre Palat and Marcel Pronovost. Shack had to go in and take the face-off as Popper was waved out. Puck is back in the Maple Leaf zone, and it's Douglas. A pass to Shack. Shack overskated the puck. Henri Richard to Bathgate. Pathgate passed it. It hit a skate. Prentice couldn't get it. Nevin to Pulford. To Shack. For Pulford too far. Marcel Pronovost hit Richard, and Richard goes back and starts again. He's hook checked by Pulford. Pulford is given the knee, and there's going to be a penalty here to Marcel Pronovost. When play stops, it's a finally called and a kneeing penalty to Marcel Pronovost of the All-Stars. Stuck out his knee, and that means a penalty to the All-Stars, giving the Leafs the odd man advantage for the second time in the game.
All-Star penalty, number 2, Pronovost. 2 minutes for tripping. Time 11:47.
They call it tripping, and you saw him stick out his knee there, and they call it tripping on the play. Now it's Horton back there at the blue line, going back into his own zone. They have the odd man, Mahovlich, Keon, Litzenberger, Kelly, and Horton. Keon to Kelly. He just shoots it into the All-Star zone. It went to the opposite side. Keon moves in quickly, gets it back to Horton. Horton let his shot go. Sawchuk went down, and the All-Stars have it. Clearing it out to center ice. Claude Provo, number 14, is out there on the forward line along with number 18, Dean Prentice, to kill off the penalty. It's Keon coming back again over the line with Mahovlich. Back to Kelly. His shot, right on. Sawchuk stopped that. Prentice comes back. A pass to Claude Provo. Back pass to Pierre Pilat over to Elmer Vasco. And the All-Stars killing off the penalty. 1 minute and 5 seconds left in Marcel Pronovost's penalty. Clearing pass over to Dean Prentice. There's a hot shot that Bauer had to stop on his chest. Horton back for it. Number 7. To Keon. Over to Litzenberger. Litzenberger flips it over the line. Sawchuk stopped it. Vasco chases Keon. It goes back to Litzenberger. Back to Horton. His shot is going high. It hit behind the net. Mahovlich trying to center it. Litzenberger took a swipe at it, couldn't get to it, and it goes down the ice. Back for it goes Horton, number 7. Long pass to Litzenberger. Over to Duff. Over the line. Takes his shot. Sawchuk didn't see it, but covered up on the screen drive and held it out. And they're testing Terry Sawchuk early. This 1963 NHL All-Star Game is coming to you from Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. Six minutes and 25 seconds remain in this second period, a 2-all tie. Leafs still have the odd man. Johnson holds it against the boards. No further play. Marcel Pronovost has 5 seconds left in his penalty. Now it's Del Vecchio coming out. Gordie Howe's already out there. Harry Howell. And Ullman. So with only 5 seconds remaining, Coach Sid Abel has decided to go with one defenseman. On the face-off, Harris had the draw, but Gordie Howe was there to cover up and flick it down to center. Bob Bond breaks it up. Marcel Pronovost's back on the ice. Bond shoots it into the All-Star zone, and Howe clears it out and down the ice. Bauer lets it go. Stanley back to touch it, and it's icing call against the All-Stars. 5 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the second period. It's a 2-all tie. All set to go. Harris has taken over for Keon at center ice because he was used on the power play. Howell. A pass for Del Vecchio. Howell gets it himself. Takes the puck to center. Takes a shot at hit Bond. He doesn't know where it is. and decides to hold it there for a face-off. Referee Frank Mahovlich, the linesmen are Neil Armstrong and Matt Pavlich. Two all tie, the All-Stars 2 and the Leafs 2. A pass to Del Vecchio, shot it over the Leaf line, and Vaughn goes back for it. He stops behind the Leaf net. A pass to Stanley. A long pass for Armstrong. Armstrong tried to go through the defense, and he was too well covered. Alex Del Vecchio, watched by Harris. Howe gets it back to Howell, over to Marcel Pronovost, up the center. Clearing pass for Howe offside, as Gordie Howe had gone over the blue line, one stride in advance of the pass. So now the Leafs will make a change and send out Pulford with Shack and Nevin. And there's 5 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the second period. Howe, Del Vecchio, and Ullman remain out there. Marcel Pronovost and Howe on the defense. Horton, pass was behind Pulford. It's cleared in, a long shot, and Bauer caught it as he came out of the net. Douglas, a pass to Shack. Shack is checked by Gordie Howe. Howe gets it back to Howell. Here's the shot. That was right on. Now then, Pulford. Long pass for Nevin, too far. Marcel Pronovost brings it back with Ullman, and he just shot it to an open wing. Douglas. A clearing pass to Horton. Horton brings it out. Stopped by Howe. Handed it to Horton. Back to Nevin. Over the line. Nevin's shot was wide. Pulford goes after the rebound. Shot it into Nevin. Nevin back for Pulford, and Howe had him covered. Ullman with 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Couldn't get away. Nevin is knocked down. Ullman has it again. Shack goes after him. Grabs at him. Goes against the board. Flicks it over the All-Star line, and Howell stopped by Nevin. Nevin is ridden off, still has it, tried to pass it back. It goes to Douglas. Douglas waiting, takes his shot, and it hit Ullman's skate. Howell behind the net. Clears it out to Howe. Howe's pass to Ullman. Ullman, a cleared pass to Del Vecchio. Horton trying to get back. Del Vecchio gets right in. By Bauer. Bauer was looking for it, and there's going to be a penalty to the Leaf defenseman for holding. Horton on the Leafs. On Del Vecchio. That'll give the All-Stars the odd man advantage.
Leafs penalty, number 7, Horton. 2 minutes for holding. Time 16:32.
16:32 is the time of the holding penalty to Horton. Leafs are playing a man short. Twice while they've been shorthanded in this game, the All-Stars have scored. This is their third try. Score is tied 2-2. On the face-off, Geoffrion gets it back to Bathgate. His shot hits Stanley's skate. It deflects to the blue line, but not out. It's kept in by number 17, Johnny Busick. Bowers stopped it. Vaughn off the boards to Armstrong. Vaughn carries on with a pass to Keon. One man back. Keon tried to break through, and Bathgate just got a piece of him at the last moment. Armstrong whacks the puck back into the All-Star zone. Sawchuk leaving it there for Geoffrion. It's Geoffrion, stopped by Stanley. Stanley was checked by Geoffrion, and away goes Geoffrion. Up over the line. There's the shot. It's wide. Keon, a flip pass for Armstrong. Armstrong hit Howell, then finally gets a second try down the ice. 2 minutes and 35 seconds remaining in the second period, a 2-2 tie. And 1 minute and 5 seconds left in Horton's penalty. Bathgate to center. Over the line with Beliveau. Beliveau skated off. And Stanley skating out. Well, spun around. Johnny Busick gets away from Johnny McMillan. Comes up over the blue line. Beliveau was offside on the right wing. And the faceoff will be outside the Maple Leaf blue line with 2 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the second period, and the score tied 2-all. All-Stars 2, Toronto Maple Leafs 2. Johnny McMillan, number 8, Bob Nevin, number 11, Larry Hillman, number 22, and Bob Bond, 21, are trying to kill off this penalty to Horton, who has 35 seconds left. Johnny Busick gets it over on the wing. Bathgate, a pass to Jeffrey. He gets it into the Leaf zone. Nevin goes back to cover up. He hooked at it, but didn't get it out. The All-Stars getting set. There's the shot. Power stopped that. Hillman failed to get it out. It goes to Jeffrey. He steered it in front. It's deflected to the blue line and out to center. Beliveau backcourt, number 19. The All-Stars. A clearing pass for Gordie Howe, too far. Johnny McMillan back. He skated off. Horton gets back on the ice, but Howe comes up with it. Tried to center it. Murray Oliver, number 15, gets it back to Bathgate. There's the shot, was wide. Puck is deflected out to center ice. There could be a penalty here. Looks like a penalty to the Leafs. It's cleared back in. Hillman wrapped at it, and the penalty is handed out to Vaughn. Vaughn will get the gate. Well, the All-Stars get a man advantage again, with the score tied 2-2.
Leafs penalty, number 21, Bond. 2 minutes for cross-checking. Time, 18:55.
18:55, a cross-checking penalty to Bob Bond. Now the All-Stars have Henri Richard at center ice. Camille Henry on the left wing. Claude Provo, number 14, on the right. Bobby Helen and Howe on the defense.
Last minute of play.
Less than a minute to go in the second period as the Leafs clear the puck down the ice. Sawchuk out of his net to stop it. And Gordie Howe's back there. 50 seconds remaining in the second period. Puck bounces to Bobby Howe. Clearing pass for Camille Henry. Henry's pass stopped by Armstrong. Then Henry gives it to Howe. Howe over the line. He's streaking through. Tries to get a shot. Bauer kicked it out. And Horton and Howe mixing it up. They all start shoving, and they mean business. And tempers are flaring in this hot battle. As Horton and Howe, a pair of sevens, tried to get at it. We'll wait and see what referee Frank Mahovlich does with that, as far as penalties are concerned. Coming to the penalty box, along with Tim Horton. Well, that means the Leafs will play 2 men short and the All-Stars 1. Horton and Bond are in there. There's the penalty box. 2 Leaf players, number 7, Tim Horton, number 21, Bob Bond, and number 7 for the All-Stars, Bobby Hull. Score is tied 2-2.
All-Star penalty, number 7, Hull, 2 minutes for high sticking. Leafs penalty, number 7, Horton, 2 minutes for high sticking. Time, 19:27.
19:27. 33 seconds remaining in this second period. And from the draw, a clearing pass to Beliveau. He's getting set to shot. Oh, and Bauer just got a piece of that with his knee. It comes right in front. Howe took a whack at it. It goes high. Over to the wing, and Keon takes it out. Pass it back to Stanley. Over to Douglas. To Keon. Back to Douglas. And Douglas finds an opening and shoots it back into the All-Star zone. Beliveau comes out, 7 seconds. 5 seconds remaining. Here he comes. The shot. Bauer stopped that. And there goes the bell, and the second period is over. And there was no scoring in the second period. And the teams will play the same way they finished the second period to start the third. Leafs play 1. As far as the scoring is concerned, in the first period, Mahovlich from Armstrong and Vaughn at 2:22. Henri Richard from Howe and Henri at 4:08. Mahovlich from Litzenberger and Keon at 12:11. Howe from Jeffrion at 19:27. All scoring plays in the first period. No scoring in the second period. And so, the score at the end of the second period, the NHL All-Stars 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs 2.
Truly Canadian, it's a happy word and a happy theme. Really Canadian, it's the brightest note on a happy scene. Truly Canadian, the best word heard in the land today. Really Canadian, happy times, the time is right, the fun is bright, and friendly faces make a happy sight. So keep it happy in every way. The Canadian seems the best and brightest seen today. So say it with a smile, call out from east to west. Truly Canadian, really Canadian. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do. So say it with a smile, call out from east to west. Truly Canadian, Molson's Canadian, lager beer.
Ward Cornell again. Tonight's All-Star game marks the beginning of hockey action for this season. But the ceremonial beginning came last night at the 17th annual NHL dinner. NHL All-Stars in Action was the theme at the Royal York, and it wasn't long before the hockey greats, past and present, started to sign in. Emile Henri and Harry Howell of the Rangers were among the first. Boom Boom Jeffrion and Jean Beliveau of the Canadiens are greeted by Dickie Duff and Lady Byng winner Dave Keon, both of the Leafs. And those of us who participate in the telecast were on hand, too. Here's CBC's George Retzlaff, who produces each Saturday's game here in the Gardens. Jack Dennett, longtime hot stover on radio, who'll be with us on TV this year. And, of course, my counterpart in Montreal, Frank Selke Jr. Ed Fitkin, publicity director at Maple Leaf Gardens, will be doing the highlights here in Toronto. And I'll be doing what you see me doing here, talking to the players. This gentleman, of course, is Bobby Hull. And here are Leafs Pulford, Douglas, and Harris looking at the special table of prizes awarded to the Stanley Cup winners and chatting and wondering about the possibility of gathering around another table like this a year from now with another Stanley Cup behind them. The president of the new Central Hockey League, Jolly Jack Adams, was at the reception, as were new Chicago coach Billy Ray and the president of Maple Leaf Gardens, Stafford Smythe. After the reception, everyone moved to the concert hall for dinner. Johnny Bauer might be asking Detroit's Normie Ullman to remember to take it easy on an elderly gentleman this year. And here's Eddie Shack with Bob Nevin, Toronto's Mayor Somerville, and Bob Pulford. Are they talking hockey or politics? Nearby sits second-team All-Star, the dynamic Henri Richard. Foster and Bill Hewitt dined together. And, of course, no NHL gathering would be complete without this gentleman. And Clancy was there. The head table includes the presidents of the various professional hockey leagues and the governors of the NHL. Here's Governor Emeritus Conn Smythe chatting with the president of the Montreal Canadiens, Senator Molson. This is the one time of year that all the trophies are brought out from the Hockey Hall of Fame and placed on view. And this is the Art Ross Trophy, and the winner of that trophy, along with the Hart, is this gentleman, Gordie Howe, also a first-team All-Star. As is the Leafs' Carl Brewer, Chicago's Pierre Pilote, and, of course, Stan Mikita was not present. Glenn Hall was. And then the All-Star left winger, Frank Mahovlich. Captain George Armstrong of the Leaf receives the Stanley Cup from custodian Smeaton Cooper. Coach Punch Imlach receives, as did all the Leaf players, a beautiful silver tray as a remembrance of last spring. Other second-team All-Stars came next. Terry Sawchuk, Tim Horton, Elmer Vasco, and then the president of the NHL, Clarence Campbell, spoke to the assembly giving details of the pension fund, which now totals nearly $4 million. And with the presentations over and the president's remarks completed, the ceremonial part of the season has been completed. And next on the agenda, of course, is city director at Maple Leaf Gardens. Will be doing the highlights here in Toronto, and I'll be doing what you see me doing here, talking to the players. This gentleman, of course, is Bobby Hall. And here are Leafs Pulford, Douglas, and Harris looking at the special table of prizes awarded to the Stanley Cup winners and chatting and wondering about the possibility of gathering around another table like this a year from now with another Stanley Cup behind them. The president of the new Central Hockey League, Jolly Jack Adams, was at the reception, as were new Chicago coach Billy Ray and the president of Maple Leaf Gardens, Stafford Smythe. After the reception, everyone moved to the concert hall for dinner. Johnny Bauer might be asking Detroit's Normie Ullman to remember to take it easy on an elderly gentleman this year. And here's Eddie Shack with Bob Nevin, Toronto's Mayor Somerville, and Bob Pulford. Are they talking hockey or politics? Nearby sits second-team All-Star, the dynamic Henri Richard. Foster and Bill Hewitt dined together. And, of course, no NHL gathering would be complete without this gentleman. And Clancy was there. The head table includes the presidents of the various professional hockey leagues and the governors of the NHL. Here's Governor Emeritus Conn Smythe chatting with the president of the Montreal Canadiens, Senator Molson. This is the one time of year that all the trophies are brought out from the Hockey Hall of Fame and placed on view. And this is the Art Ross Trophy, and the winner of that trophy, along with the Hart, is this gentleman, Gordie Howe, also a first-team All-Star. As is the Leafs' Carl Brewer, Chicago's Pierre Pilote, and of course, Stan Mikita was not present. Glenn Hall was. And then the All-Star left winger, Frank Mahovlich. Captain George Armstrong of the Leafs receives the Stanley Cup from custodian Smeaton Cooper. Coach Punch Imlach receives, as did all the Leaf players, a beautiful silver tray as a remembrance of last spring. Other second-team All-Stars came next. Terry Sawchuk, Tim Horton, Elmer Vasco, and then the president of the NHL, Clarence Campbell, spoke to the assembly giving details of the pension fund, which now totals nearly $4 million. With the presentations over and the president's remarks completed, the ceremonial part of the season has been completed. And next on the agenda, of course, is action, and that's what we're seeing tonight. Well, we'll continue with the rest of our intermission in just a moment.
The first half of tonight's telecast has been brought to you by Molson, independent brewers since 1786. Brewers of Molson Export Ale, the big ale in the big land.
The second half of the 1963 All-Star Game is brought to you by Imperial Oil Limited and Esso dealers, agents, and distributors in your community.
If you heat a home, this message is one of the most important you will ever receive. Esso Home Heat Service provides free 24-hour no-heat emergency service, free mid-season equipment check, free annual burner and furnace conditioning, and provides it through the finest heating specialists in Canada. Because Esso Home Heat Service was the first plan of its kind launched in the country, Imperial Oil was able to hand-pick the most highly skilled heating specialists in Canada. Esso gives you a proven successful plan. 200,000 free furnace conditionings completed, thousands more scheduled. Already over 20,000 families have switched to this great new plan. What's in it for you? All the service you'll ever need for just the price of the oil. Weather-controlled fuel delivery. You can't run out of oil. A low-cost parts insurance policy. Top service. Top product, yours now. Get the proven successful plan. Esso Home Heat Service. Just call Imperial Oil.
Happy to have with us now the president of the National Hockey League, Clarence Campbell, to chat with Frank and myself. Frank?
Ward, while you were talking before about last night's dinner, just towards the end, you mentioned something that made my ears perk up, and it recalled that you, Mr. Campbell, had mentioned last night that the Pension Society has something like $4 million laying around loose. Could Ward and I get a piece of that, do you think?
Well, I don't know how you would get any part of that. If you could qualify as a player or as a referee or as a linesman or a trainer or a junior executive, we could arrange to fit you in, but I don't think you'll get a very large portion of that $4 million. That's already spoken for.
That is. That's a very impressive pension plan that you have.
Well, we think so. It's been highly successful and far exceeded the dreams of those who had the idea in the first place some 17 years ago. Just about, it was the occasion of the first All-Star game when that was staged primarily for the purpose of providing a basic fund. Mm-hmm. In the interval, it has increased both in the amount of the pensions, and of course it's accumulated a great deal of pension benefits for some 240-odd players who have passed through in the meantime. And the total assets which have been accumulated for the benefit of the players who are, and executives who are in, does come to just about $4 million in that period of time.
Mr. Campbell, just how does it work? Does a player give a percentage of his salary?
No, he's required by the terms of his contract to pay a $900. It's retained, and the league provides a matching contribution of $900. And these would normally provide him with a pension of $150 a month at age 45 if he had 10 years of service. Now, happily for us, the Pension Society has been even more successful than that, and we have just recently distributed a 30% dividend, which is not too bad.
30%? That sounds pretty good. That's better than bonds.
Well, it isn't quite. When I say 30%, it's 30% over a 5-year period, so really it's only 6%.
Mr. Campbell, one thing that Gordie Howe has mentioned many times, he said he wants to play that 20 years, not only because Dick Clapper's the only one that's done it, but because it would increase his pension just by so much. What kind of a pension could he look for after 20 years?
Well, he was a participant in the first 10 years, and that was on the basis of a $90 a year pension, $90 per year of service pension. So he would have $900 there. He had no past service, but he had a dividend of approximately 30%, so that would mean he would have $900 plus 30 is another $270. Roughly $1,200 for his first period. He would have, in addition to that, 180, approximately $150 a month for the second 10 years, plus a dividend of another 30%, that's 45, so that he would have 225 and about 100, approximately 100 to 120, nearly $350, about $350 a month at age 45.
Well, he'll be still playing and drawing his pension if he plays the way he's been going now.
That's possible. But let me point out what is the really vital thing. I'm talking about pension payable at age 45. If you want to calculate what his pension is by the time he becomes age 65, which is normal, just multiply that by 2.5 times. He'll have a pension of over $750 a month at age 65, which for his playing hockey. Plus the fact that he will have a death benefit associated with this, if he has in fact to take his pension, of over $120,000.
Well, all of this seems to suggest that if a young boy is a very good hockey player and is thinking of a professional career, it's a worthwhile occupation in life.
It's the pension plan that's made the difference that hockey now is definitely and can be treated as a career. That's the reason. And incidentally, the Western Hockey League have introduced a pension plan for their people, too.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Campbell. Most interesting. Thanks to our guest. In just a moment, we'll return to Bill Hewitt and a play-by-play of the third period.
Thank you. You know, nothing makes me wince more than the noise made when players go crashing into those boards at full tilt. I'm always surprised when they just pick themselves up and keep going as if nothing's happened. But I guess it's easy to forget that with the heavy pads they wear, they're pretty well protected. And they're able to take the shocks of hard going.
These are the parts of your car that take the hard going, that need regular SO lubrication during our hard Canadian winters. What can you do as a driver to shield these parts from the shock of winter? Well, there are 3 easy rules that apply to 90% of the cars on the road today. First, your motor oil. Right now, with the change of season, change the grade. A lighter grade flows easier when the temperature drops, eases the strain on your battery and engine parts. Next, during the winter, change your oil monthly to get rid of the acid, carbon, and sludge that build up with short trips and cold engines. Finally, lubricate your car monthly. Regular chassis lubes flush out grease and dirt, seal out water. And when your car's on the hoist, your SO dealer can also safety check it to catch trouble before it starts in spots like mufflers, tie rods, and tires. An SO changeover, regular SO lubrication and safety check. 2 more services that are right with the times for you.
In just a moment, the 2 teams will be on the ice for the third period. And the All-Stars and the Maple Leafs are all tied up at 2 apiece. All the scoring in the game so far has been confined to the first period. Mahovlich from Armstrong and Bond at 2:22. Henri Richard from Howe and Henry at 4:08. We have the referee and the 2 linesmen out there. The referee is Frank Mahovlich with striped jersey number 2. Linesmen are Neil Armstrong, number 8, and Matt Pavlich, number 5. And here come the All-Stars. Their white uniforms with the gold and black trim. That's the center exit on the east side of Maple Leaf Gardens. Now, Don Simmons is coming out to replace Johnny Bauer in goal and is wearing sweater number 24 for the Maple Leafs. The fans are just recognizing that Simmons is coming out. To complete the scoring in the first period, Mahovlich made it 2-1 from Litzenberger and Keon at 12:11, and then Hull from Jeffreyon at 19:27. Now, in the first period, the Leafs outshot the All-Stars 14-13. But in the second period, the All-Stars outshot the Leafs 12-8. So on the 2 periods so far, the All-Stars have outshot the Maple Leafs 25-22. And also to start this third period, the Leafs will have 2 men in the penalty box. Bond